Hey, pleasure seekers.
Oh.
Hello, pleasure seekers.
So creepy. Oh no.
Closer.
Get away.
Come ever closer. Happy Halloween, boys and ghouls, and the interhexed.
Happy Halloween. Welcome to Never Had the Pleasure, where we watch a movie that we've never seen before.
For better or worse, this week we're talking about the witches. We're talking about them witches.
Them old witches. The version from the 90s. Right now we're going to be talking about what we are expecting to see going into our viewing of the movie. Later we'll be back to unpack our experience and discuss a new 2020 version of the witches that was just released. I think it's one of those cases where it's not a remake of the movie. It's a more truthful version of the source material. Directed by Robert Zemeckis, and he tends to like really nail something or just go like, woof. The original seems like a Zemeckis movie. Dude, they already did it. People were excited about it because Anne Hathaway seems to have a lot of room to like embrace being a little bit campy. But yeah, I haven't heard good things about this new one. Let's talk about the one that people actually like. The one from the 90s. How are you feeling going into the witches?
I'd say I'm feeling neutral, optimistic. The upside that I'm hoping for is that it will be kind of like the family version of the movie we just talked about, Society. Kind of like slow but steady, kind of percolating build up to a blow off top 30-minute shit show.
This seems to be a similar kind of thing where some lady who's around some kids is secretly a witch and up to shit. I'm excited. This seems like the kind of movie that I'm gonna dig. I hope to be delighted, perhaps spooked at times, and to get a lot of joy out of Anjelica Huston. She's kind of like the headline here.
Yeah.
She's the show. I've mostly seen her in Wes Anderson movies. She's always like a very maternal figure. So this will be different. More like her role in Captain EO.
Oh.
Which I think she's fantastic in.
Oh boy. Whoa. Coming right at me through the screen. No recollection.
She's like the evil space lady.
Cool. I mean, I like it.
She looks great in it. I hope she's channeling that energy. Do you have any Angelica memories?
I mean, Addams Family. I think she's a great Morticia. I hope she's like really evil.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give me some like Maleficent energy from Sleeping Beauty, not the...
Give me like Catwoman energy, like Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh, anytime.
I've never read the story that it's based on. What I'm envisioning is essentially a series of unfortunate events scenario. Orphans have to live with their estranged aunt in like some gothic mansion. She's got a bunch of like friends who live in the house, like other witches.
It's in a house.
Like a gothic
it was
like
in a
mansion.
Hotel.
I don't know.
I'm sure it's in a hotel.
I clearly don't know
because the witches are going
to
a convention, right?
The kids are also just staying
like
at the hotel. Okay.
Yeah.
And then they're like, Mom, who's that lady? She's got a vibe.
Her fingers have liver spots.
Yeah. In one shot, she's got liver spots. And then in the next, it's like pretty Angelica hands.
Famed for their beauty.
Why do advertisers like your hands?
I like to say that my hands look good naked. So the skin is flawless. The nails are very, very healthy, and they just emanate, like radiate.
What do you think is going to be like the first hint that witches are among them? I think it's going to be like a wig slip.
Ooh.
Maybe one of the witches, like their suitcase opens and some witchy things spill out. Various domestic sludges and such.
Oh, that's an exotic spice from India. I just came back from a vacation.
That explains why I'm so exotic seeming. I'm well traveled in a time when the Cold War was still active. I just had a memory flash from a distant memory as a young child of the kids in this movie being turned into mice.
Sure.
I want to see in this movie a Rube Goldberg mousetrap scenario where they're like,
because they're mice.
Yeah, maybe in like the kitchen, and they're like the mice have to dodge being cut up and put into soups and so forth, and they're in the kitchen for some reason related to the magic of witches.
Trying to escape from her. Where are they? What do you think these witches are up to? Like, what's their larger plan? The kids are gonna, like, gum up the works.
I think they're just like having a convention. It's like jamboree for witches.
Hey everyone, my name is Carly Rae Jepsen, and I can't wait to see you all at the Boy Scouts Jamboree in July.
I have a plan. Maybe they're gonna, like, take over this town.
I think their plan is just to have a nice weekend. The problem is that like a nice weekend for witches involves some nefarious behaviors that are not suited to a hotel conference room.
Get like a rural house. This is one of those movies that is constantly cited as like scarring a generation of kids with some of its imagery.
Sort of in that Return to Oz
Exactly.
lane. That crop of movies is just kind of before our time.
Studio's probably like wisened up to being like, let's sanitize things. I think it's fun.
I think so too, and it's nice to see that there's been a little bit of a return to that kind of format.
Like Goosebumps.
People like Monster House, the house with a clock in its wall.
Even like Stranger Things.
Maybe like as the people who took on a viewing of The Witches when they were like 6, they're having their kids now and they're gonna want some spooky scaries for them too.
I believe I remember from visiting a museum that I'm not remembering the name of in New York.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about
Museum of the Moving Image.
Yeah, that museum.
Yeah.
They have a Jim Henson exhibit. I believe he did work on this. Hopefully that means that we get some cool puppetry and effects work. Lots of practical effects.
hadn't even thought of puppets.
Which I'm sure Zemeckis has replaced with Beowulf quality effects.
Do you know anyone else who's in it?
Not a single soul.
I think there's a little boy with glasses. I'm guessing there's some kind of wormish or nefarious concierge. Because I don't know anybody else who's in this.
Do you know who directed this?
No.
Someone...
Do you?
I do. Nicolas Roeg?
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
He's Australian.
Yeah. Walkabout, Man Who Fell to Earth. I'm upgrading from cautiously optimistic to modestly optimistic.
And everybody rained in it.
So this is like his Happy Feet.
I'm expecting more out of this than Happy Feet. This is his Babe 2. People love Babe 2.
Australia, for whatever reason, is really good at just kind of tapping into that slightly magical, metaphysical, kind of like off-kilter worldview that you can't quite place. I don't know what's in the culture that makes them so good at that, but man, like so many Australian movies just like hit that vibe so well.
I hope that there's really good set design, very gothic.
I hope it doesn't just take place at like Marriott. I hope they built sets. I hope the performances are as over the top as I'm anticipating. Give me some camp. I hope we get some good hench witches. I'm not asking for like a hocus pocus. I don't want anybody to have to share the spotlight. But
Okay.
I do hope we get some character actors in there.
These kids better play it straight, though.
Yeah.
Don't get
I think
it
that
all.
is the role of the protagonist child.
Play it straight.
Know your place, Potter.
Stick to your ticket.
We've been talking about like camp and horror. Importantly, I don't think camp really works as well unless it has something to play against. You need like a straight man. I think the kids that are in over their heads is the role that befits their station to not do much.
This seems like a real showcase for Anjelica. I like these movies where an established actress gets like a really meaty central role and gets to kind of camp it up and vamp it up.
You're right, this is a great role to do both.
It's very like Glenn Close in 101 Dalmatians.
I think every actress should have their 101 Dalmatians.
Except for Emma Stone,
Except for Emma
who's getting
Stone.
one. After La La Land, I can't
Are
do
they
Emma
gonna?
Stone.
Every actress should have their Cruella de Vil. Every actor should have their Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah, that fits this this genre. Family horror movies. A lot of them have these like showcase performances in them, like The Addams Family.
That's a stacked cast.
Yeah.
Beetlejuice stacked. The Witches to me belongs a little bit more in that like high fantasy vibe. I mean, like these are very subtle shades of gray.
It's getting chilly out.
It is the time of year when a man must wear pants even during the day.
You were holding off for a good while. I love my pants. Gonna pull it. Judy!
Yeah, that's about how high she got to. How old is she?
She's a geriatric cat.
Lots of people have taken up yoga during this quarantine.
I've taken up soda. It's time to cozy up with some blankets and grab some Halloween candy and just chow down.
But do not eat any children, for that is forbidden.
People really like this movie. I'm excited. It's got a great poster. Hopefully it's a good Halloween movie.
I hope it's worthy of the reputation of having scarred a generation of children. I want them to cook somebody for real to completion.
I'm gonna keep my expectations low.
Well, not me. We got to get to step into the other room to watch the witches. And so should you. Can't imagine it's very hard to find. You know what I hear some YouTubers like to do? Not wait until the end of their 40-minute videos to suggest that people like, comment, share, subscribe, and don't forget to turn on notifications by ringing the bell.
It's cool. Do it. Do it. I bet you somebody rings the bell. Anjelica goes, ding! I would like a room for my broom. I don't know why I'm talking like this.
That's not how she talks.
I can't do impressions.
You've seen so many Wes Anderson movies.
Steve Zissou, give up on that animal. What should I do on this fine afternoon?
Subscribe to me, and then you'll see
wonders of your own imagination.
Do you think this is gonna have a musical number?
Just wait and see.
We're gonna say goodbye.
Rest in peace to this priest.
Is that it? Are we okay?
Fast food witches.
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 Proper witches.
Oh my gosh, what an adorable little puppet mouse boy. I love the way he said soup.
Soup.
That's my main takeaway.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen anything cuter. I thought the film was a delight. A very charming, pretty simple story, very expeditiously told.
The things I liked about it and the things that I was looking forward to, I was really surprised by how much of a mismatch there was. If you told me the things I would like most would be the little boy as a mouse and his relationship with his grandma, that doesn't sound like me. That's how I would have reacted.
Oh, I see.
A take of a slightly elevated temperature. I don't know if I'd call it hot. I wasn't wowed by Anjelica.
I was. I'm not gonna say I was wowed.
I was.
I got what I wanted. I wish there was a little bit more of her overall. She kind of has her big scene and is kind of sprinkled throughout. But I thought she was really great.
This isn't really her fault as a performer. I think it's more just the nature of the role. It was a little one note, imperious, scrutinizing boss lady.
There's a lot of details in her big scene, the way that her evil comes out when they bring in Bruno and he's transforming into a mouse. She gets turned on by it. So many little touches of her performance in that scene, especially. Yeah, it was one note in that she was just maliciously evil, but so many little quirks and not evil in a family horror film kind of way. She just snaps and kills one of the witches right there. It's very creepy when she's walking by the painting and taps on it and the girl's just gone. She's a witch. She's a bad lady.
It sounded like you were censoring yourself there. What were you gonna say?
She's a witch. She's a bad bitch.
Good.
After I said it, I was like, I should have just said that.
Well, now you've had your chance. How does it feel?
Oh.
Maybe there are some details that I wasn't quite as attuned to. I guess I'm just accustomed to a little more guile in my witches. I wanted the boys to be outmatched. I feel like maybe the role was a little underwritten.
When I say I wish there was more of her and that the story was simple, with the remake that just came out, I could totally see that I'm kind of expanding the story, making it more of a cat and mouse kind of thing. Well, what do you say? Should we go through the plot? There are a lot of little moments that I found charming and
Yeah.
interesting.
Tip to tail. Rose, hip, and snail.
Watch out, Anne Hathaway.
I'm gonna say this. I love my grandma very much. This may finally be the one that we can send her. We'll have to watch our mouths. I've never had a bad word to say about her before, but I will say this. She didn't prepare us for witches.
Well, have you ever encountered a witch?
I don't know. We were defenseless.
There's a few malevolent forces in my life. Form a mob.
Yeah, form a mob. Get that fire burning.
Yeah, it depends on what you're fighting for, I guess, right now. I like how the movie introduces the fact that witches are around. In a typical film, I feel like the mom would come in and be like, "Oh, stop it, Mom." But they didn't have time for it. It's just presented as a fact. What did you think about the detail about the painting capturing the soul?
I kind of thought it was going to come up again.
It seemed like the girl should have stayed in the portrait, and then at the end she could have been reunited with her childhood friend. There was just a beat missing with that. It's there, I think, to clue you in that an entire life can just be taken away by one of the witches. This movie had a real not American thing going on. Anjelica Huston's got this German accent, it's got this Australian director. They go from Denmark to England.
I really liked the opening scene. The actors portraying the grandma and Luke nailed the connection right away. When a grandparent can kind of come down to a child's level without being condescending, you must have a knack for it. I think that was very well rendered. The relationship felt very lived in, and I was really happy with how much of it we got throughout the movie. I kind of expected the grandma to really get sidelined. I thought there would be a third, probably a girl mouse, and that it would become more about the mice on their mouse adventure. I was glad the grandma kind of stayed in the loop.
Yeah, and she got some good moments later that we'll get to. I really like their relationships as well, and both of them individually. I think I preferred the boy as a mouse.
He wasn't knocking my socks off as a human. Really, that's out of the way pretty early. And then, he's a mouse.
Luke's grandma is talking to him about witches and what to look for. Purple hue to their eyes. Well put together. They can look like any woman.
Yeah, I'd say there's a type.
So Luke is now an orphan. And he's off to live with his grandma.
Yeah, luckily he doesn't seem too torn up about it. Luke can really roll with the punches. It's a good quality. Children can get used to anything.
This movie was very interestingly shot. There's so many hyper close-ups and very low angles. Maybe foreshadowing the mouse's perspective that we get, and just shakiness. Kind of fun. Warner Brothers distributed this. I don't know if they produced it, but it felt kind of European to me.
Maybe that Australian sensibility from Nicolas Roeg. I don't think you bring in somebody who'd formerly been a pretty art housey type for something like this unless you want that perspective in the filmmaking. Why do you think it didn't do well?
Parents probably just heard that it was kind of creepy and a little intense and stayed away.
I think you're probably right. Me. It's really easy to forget how pedestrian tastes were at that time. Parents hand-wringing over these issues. It means that now I, grown man, don't get to watch a sequel to this movie that came out 30 years ago. Although I'd say if they were going to do that, they should have kept that boy a mouse.
So it's Luke's birthday. Grandma has gifted him a couple mice. Fun gift. Would you ever keep mice? If they were as cute as the fake mice in this movie, I would. But
Yeah,
they're
that's
not.
what I'm saying. I don't want to be turning kids into mice.
I would if it resulted in a cute mouse.
I'd like to think I don't have that in me, but that was a very
I'm
cute
just telling
animatronic.
everyone I do.
I think it would be very sad when it I don't think mice live that long.
I really want a pet snake.
I've been watching Dank Pods. He's got a snake, Frank. I don't know. Seems fun. But I also want to cling to my remaining shreds of dateability, and I feel like a snake would hurt that. My pet decisions are so YouTube influenced.
So yeah, she gives him this gift, and she's stricken with her diabetes. Luke was talking, and she was just like, oh. It played to me she's just over him.
Yeah, that's me too. Yeah, I guess it would be annoying to hear this kid talk about his mice all the time.
Leave me alone. Maybe that's just the malevolent witch side of me.
Luke says diabetes. He says it like Wilford Brimley.
Yeah, diabetes.
Diabetes. I was really thrown.
He's an American.
The doctor, she had the
Yeah.
weirdest hair.
Yeah,
Maybe
what
that I've
was-
ever seen on a human. Undercut with like graying temples, and then just limp mousy brown up top.
Grandma's sick and she needs to take some time to relax. So they're off to England, off to a luxury hotel run by Mr. Bean. Oh my gosh. It just so happens that very weekend is the same time the Royal Society for
Prevention
of
cruelty.
childhood cruelty. They're protecting childhood cruelty.
That's better. I think
Or
in the
whatever.
movie it's just like Society for the Prevention of Cruelty Towards Children.
Yeah, there you go.
But phrasing it,
So
it's like,
ambiguously?
yeah.
That would have been clever.
Doll, get it together.
He wasn't clever enough.
That's what people
What
are
a
always
failure.
saying.
I want to say Luke was rocking like a hype beast look.
His pants were very advanced for the 90s.
He's got the sneakers, the pants, like a Kanye West hoodie. Luke's got
Got some flair in England.
a style.
We should start doing affiliate links. Shop
Check
the
out
look.
Supreme and Warner Brothers have teamed up for a witches collection inspired by Luke. Get the Luke look.
Yeah, we get to the hotel.
And, it's called the Witches. We know that there's witches. It's probably the tall, statuesque woman with the, like, purple shawl. She's probably the High Grand Witch. The Grand High Witch.
The Hugh Grant Witch.
Because he's on the top of his game after Paddington 2.
No, I'm gonna hold back.
Refrain on the Paddington
We'll get
talk.
to Paddington. Bruno.
Oh, yeah,
You're
we
really
meet Bruno.
getting on my last fucking nerve.
Roald Dahl's always got one character
He
who...
must really hate fat kids.
Yeah.
Kids can really get on his bad side, causing him to enact their demise gruesomely in his literature.
He's got, like, certain ideals as to what a kid should be, how they should act. And
For
he's
sure,
not
because
afraid to tell you.
Luke and Charlie and James all have traits in common. He likes an open-minded naivete, willingness to roll with an adventure.
I watched James and the Giant Peach, like, in the background as I was doing other things when I was a kid, so, like, I don't really remember. But
we're always so busy.
I just, like, know that I've never... Like,
I have to go.
Thanks, bye.
one day I feel like we'll do it on the show. But at least with Charlie, Luke in this movie is definitely, like, a more active, critical thinker once he kind of... figures out what's going on, which, makes for a kid that you root for more than Charlie.
Charlie's not sticking his neck out for anybody.
Going along and being polite.
Yeah, Luke consistently takes on great personal risk to do what's right.
This was less of like a morality tale than Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. You got Bruno, but it's not like there was some girl who was like, Daddy, buy me diamonds, shower me in riches, Daddy. October 30th, Luke's kind of exploring the hotel as his grandma relaxes, and he stumbles upon their big meeting where we hear out their evil plans.
Look at all these witches. Most of them played by men.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, you can kind of have that vibe. That's cool.
Sure.
Do you know why they did that?
I think they just wanted like ugly women and men.
It was just easier that way.
Yeah, men without like a lot of work tend to make not very handsome women. In comes Bruno.
Yeah, Bruno comes in demanding chocolate.
My God. If
my
I
chocolate.
ever wanted to see a child reduced to a mouse.
You got your wish. That's their plan.
Sucks to suck, Bruno.
They're gonna transform as many of the English children who want chocolates into mice as possible. They have a lot of money. Don't know where that came from, but
I guess just witch stuff.
yeah, exactly.
Here are 11 reasons why the witch's plans never would have worked in the first place. All the kids that disappeared are the ones that went to these free candy stores. I guess the only kids left would be type 1 diabetics. Unless they get like some sugar-free candy. These kids are just going to go home and turn into mice in front of their parents. That's really going to shake society up. A lot of numbers. 500 doses per bottle. If you take 5 doses, the transformation happens in 25 seconds. Is this going to be relevant?
It wasn't. Here we get the meat of Anjelica Huston's performance. You felt like it was a little bit one note. What did you think of the effects here?
Oh, it looked great. The Jim Henson team, I generally think they do a better job with like cute Muppet type stuff. I think that's their true wheelhouse. That might just be like a personal bias. In Fraggle Rock and Dark Crystal, I think they're a little patchy and mangy and they just look like not well. I find them very off-putting. What kind of works against that world, like works in favor of the witches because
Like she's a villain.
yeah, like the makeup is, they just like so nailed it. The transparent hairs coming out of her nose, the body work on her,
Yeah, like her bones kind of like jutting out. I thought it was really cool how in her like, human presenting attire, she was shot to be like super tall, but like peeled off her mask and was like pretty like hunched over and decrepit and like notably shorter. I mean, obviously it's a practical effect and like you can tell, but like I like that.
Yeah.
I have no idea what Anne Hathaway looks like in the new one. Let's look
Yeah.
it up.
I
Yeah.
think that's it.
She effectively looks like any of the like audience members, the ones that they clearly just didn't put as much effort
She
into.
looks like she's a fucking Comic-Con. Zemeckis, buddy.
Well, I mean, like, it's like a different take.
Which
but-
I respect, but like different and worse is not
Yeah,
great.
certainly not like as elaborate an effect or as impressive. This could have easily just been somebody else in a suit and her doing like a voice, right? Respect to her for like doing that.
Like I said, I was a little bit underwhelmed by the whole of her as the villain,
like,
but I liked the actual effect and I liked her performance of what she
Mhm.
was given. My issues with it are more kind of like script and plot side.
Outside of this showcase scene here, there's like a few scenes outside of this when she like puts sugar in grandma's tea. She's
And that's like
when she like pushes the baby down the hill. I wish there was just like a little bit more of that. That also could have made the movie longer and less expeditious.
yeah, I mean it's always a trade-off, right? I feel like this movie
Leave
on the
them
whole-
wanting more, right?
Yeah, leave them wanting
Yeah.
a sequel that they'll never get. Not their fault. It's the parents of America's fault.
Maybe they could have had a whole Fantastic Beasts-esque franchise where they encounter different cultures of
That's what I'm
of
saying.
magic. Next up, the Americans. You're gonna have like trucker witches.
Oh wow. That's a different direction than I was thinking, but I like it.
Fast food witches.
Fast food witches. That's gonna mess with your brand sponsorships.
Just like make up a
I guess
Taco
it's not our
mouth.
problem. Taco mouth. I don't hate it.
Ham Hut.
A scene with a bunch of witches at the ham hut.
Yeah.
Flam flam, give me some ham.
No frills.
The ham hut.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, that kind of like extreme effect work. It's obviously going to be real easy for like the outfit to wear you, and that like was not the case here. She wasn't lost in the prosthetics. It's a very big performance that never really feels like she's working for that. Like it feels pretty natural.
I loved her performance here. The audience is applauding after they hear her plan, and she's just like, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. This scene especially, I got everything that I wanted out of the performance. She has very elaborate effect work. Everybody else, not so much.
Some of the sort of like showcase audience witches, like ones who are going to be in close-ups, have more kind of like scalp rash. There's just a little bit more kind of like worked on.
So I'm always surprised by how long it would take to like apply even just like a skull thing. Like I would
Yeah.
think pop it on, pat down the sides, and like you're good to go.
And this isn't SNL.
I guess it must have been like a long time to shoot that scene for her because
Yeah.
like it's a very elaborate effect.
Yeah, it was 3 weeks. I remember being a baby nerd, hearing about like how long it took them to do like Worf's makeup, which is like nothing compared to this, right?
Yeah.
It must have been beyond like just a full working day, just like getting into makeup. I assume that it took like 2 days. Okay, like I'm finally in the fucking makeup. Let's just like get these shots.
Oh, I wanted to say I've never seen the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I feel like I've seen like lots of close-ups of like the family like getting ready to eat someone.
That kind of like manic, animalistic glee. Like
Yeah.
they're overcome.
The effect isn't really that big, but it was shot in a way that I understand why that scene would kind of scar certain kids.
Yeah, that's an interesting like thread.
Yeah, so Bruno becomes a mouse. Luke is a bit of an idiot. He just seemed gobsmacked by what was happening. He was just like,
It's a pretty thankless element in the performance.
Just like-
Jaw-droppingly observing. He almost makes it out, and yeah, the one?
The odor, when they were talking about that earlier. This smart guy was like, that's gonna come up.
Chekhov's odor.
Yeah. Luke gets found out and gets transformed into a mouse himself. Oh no.
But also, oh,
You'll love to see it. He had a great vocal performance. Take note,
For sure.
Stuart Little,
Well, it was just
Cowabunga,
like a-
Bruno, and Luke are out and about in the hotel trying to figure out what to do next. We get some scenes with Mr. Bean.
That's
or
true.
as a nice person would call him, Rowan Atkinson, star of Rat Race.
He was truly the star of Rat Race.
I mean, so many stars. Forget Love Actually.
Oh, he's in Love Actually? What normative
Let me-
quality of love does he embody?
Sean, do you want to give our stance on Love Actually? We don't need to get into it. It took me a while to figure out what was going on with Mr. Bean and this maid. At one point, somebody is like, "Is she sober? What is going on here?"
Yeah.
And then later with the formula, and she's applying it.
I'm not like to put anything behind her ears. Any stranger's ointments. I thought she was gonna become like a witchy woman, and Rowan would be like, "Oh, this is a whole new side of you." But no,
No, that's not what happened.
that's not Doll doing Doll, where people are only ever punished for their curiosity.
A pretty subdued performance from Mr. Bean. From one Mr. Bean. For a Mr. Bean.
Speaking in the quality of his beanness.
But I think overall, like yourself, it was gentle and pleasant.
From here on out, it kind of has the character of like a Mario Kart mushroom cup. Taking a lap, checking in with grandma, scurrying around the hotel on the whatever errand they've got, back to grandma. Mushroom cup, not a crazy degree of difficulty.
I would have liked a little bit more of mouse humor. Trying to survive. Just a little bit. Amongst all of that, though, there was a scene. Bruno's dad is talking to Anjelica Huston. He's inquiring about what they're all about. We protect the children. Another little beat in her performance that I loved.
It doesn't affect how he feels about her. He is a hungry man with some salivary steak.
I didn't pick up on that.
Oh, yeah.
With the mice doing a lot of stuff around the hotel. There's some effect work in this scene where he's trying to get the formula with the cat. We're not the only ones who have green screen problems. That was the one part where I felt like the effects didn't quite hold up.
I guess I was just transfixed by the cat's preternatural, uncanny beauty.
Yeah, it was
a very photogenic cat, as befits a Grand High
What was its
Witch.
name?
All I wrote down is translate the cat's name. On one of the circuits, they're running with Grandma. They're checking in with Bruno's parents. She phrases what has happened to Bruno in a way that might not allay most parents' worries.
Your son has suffered a mishap. He has been drastically altered.
Factual, but maybe not how I would enter this.
He has suffered an unfortunate fate.
Oh, an appalling nature. Oh.
It's just, and nature here is vile and base, just rotting away. I wouldn't see anything erotical here.
The goal is get the formula. They pretty quickly figure out, hey, if we put this in our food, they'll all be mice. England will be saved. It is what they do.
They really flipped the script on those witches.
Yeah, some fun in the kitchen,
As from my prediction, wholly satisfied. Mice and kitchen, it's just a natural fit.
There's a witch in the kitchen. Maybe she couldn't afford to attend this conference.
Oh,
Maybe
she
she's
was
a
there on
bad
a
witch.
work scholarship.
She does a bad job. Because
Well, I mean, she tries.
what happens to her again?
She gets turned into a mouse. She scurries out and she gets squashed into...
Green dust or something.
I mean, it was a goo, I'm pretty sure.
It's a dusty goo.
That's not a thing.
The magic of the 90s.
They were really innovating with goo in the 90s. It's true. There's a reason why slime is such a thing now.
Because of flubber.
It has informed the sexual proclivities of the millennial.
Their plan is for Luke to get the formula in the soup and then escape via dustpan. Oh, thank God. I love it. I've worked with a lot of older women at my various jobs over the years.
Weird flex.
Yes. She just reminded me of a lot of them. They're just always a little off in a charming way.
Yeah, I
Much
certainly
like her.
don't think I'm going to be perceived that way when I am in my 60s. Oh my God, things are going to go so off the rails.
It was like a Frasier kind of moment. We know what's going on.
Really, Daphne? transfixed by a dustpan.
So yeah, we get
Scrub the floors.
I've got a date with a college student. Fraser's a real author figure in that both titular characters are the worst. Such emotion.
I want to say this as constructively as I can. Mixed spice in the kitchen? What the fuck is that? Like, this is why everybody hates your cuisine. I guess we'll just put this on everything. Cress soup.
Cress soup. What other kind of soup were they serving?
Kikalik or something.
Oh, yeah.
So your choices of soup, watercress or leek.
That's Mr. Bean's hotel.
That was not going to be a 2-soup meal for me.
Well, it's a good thing. How do you think you'd fare as a mouse?
Honestly, I'd have a real hard time with the curtailed lifespan. My mortality would really weigh on me. I think I'd do okay with the lifestyle.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I'm effectively living the life of a mouse right now.
Yeah.
Staying indoors, eating and sleeping.
Yeah, I do live in rather
making YouTube
a hovel.
content.
I would definitely follow Mouse Luke's adventures. Give me some kind of like Lucas the Spider vibes.
We get all of the witches transforming into mice, including our Grand High Witch. The whole plan blows up in her face, and like she doesn't really have anything else up her sleeve.
When she was sort of mid-transformation, I
Yeah.
expected her to kind of like attack, and or I also expected she would just like have another trick up her sleeve, that she wouldn't have eaten the soup. Tellingly, for like what I enjoy in movies, that's such a default part of like horror and action movies, is that like final, they're not really dead.
In every slasher, there's the moment where like you think it's over, and then they come back, and there isn't really that like moment in this.
I kind of enjoyed what a like resounding success the boys and grandma had. You know, you kind of have to weigh like the satisfaction of that versus a little bit more like strife at the finish line.
Sure. I've always heard about this movie that there's that one moment of like supreme creepiness that really scars everyone.
Yeah, I think if I were a kid,
It's the mouse
Angelica would be the height of the creepiness. But yeah, they carry their plan off with nary a hitch. It's a resounding success. England is now witch-free.
Bruno's reintroduced to his parents, and the dad became a real champion of his little mouse son. This is our Bruno.
Bruno really, he turned around on me.
About this moment, he turned around for you.
Yeah.
Typical of this expeditiously told movie. No, like, grand goodbye. Thank you for telling me about you wanting your family to love you. So you
They're out of there.
Just a minute, Grandma.
Bye, Bruno.
That feels pretty authentic to how like kids actually say goodbye.
Yeah, no, I loved it. It was adorable.
I mean, now that his grandma is like legit baller rich, he can fly on the Concorde and hang out with Bruno whenever the fuck he wants. You know what would be cool in a sequel? Maybe he finds out, like, hey, Grandma, I guess I can still turn into a mouse whenever I want. Then he could fly to England for free. Just turn into a mouse.
But you're saying he could fly as a mouse.
Sure.
Like, wait, what?
Oh, give him a little jetpack. Maybe that's like gilding the lily. He doesn't need accessories.
I would have liked him to take on a different animal.
A salamander? An owl. That could be cute. Until you see their skeleton.
They kind of look like the Grand High Witch.
Yeah.
We
We
get
get a
be
little...
something. They made a sequel to this, not
Maybe a scathing indictment of the Zemeckis school of filmmaking. I have never been more open to taking a look at his experimental work. I finally get the Rube Goldberg set piece that I've been waiting for. Really turned that set out for what amounts to really like a couple throwaway shots.
It's just kind of like a fun transportation system for him. I guess what I was hoping for when he suggested it was we'd have to
more like an
set off
action.
something as like a tiny mouse to make the formula go in the soup.
And that is what I was envisioning. Like I said, I was very surprised by what I found so charming.
Both Grandma and Luke have gotten adjusted to him being a mouse. It's a shame that this good witch non-consensually turns him back into a boy. He seemed to be loving it.
Speaking of which, you cannot redeem a witch in this world. She can turn whoever she wants back into whatever they want. She's still complicit in the plan. And I think, speculatively, but I think there's some foundation, some ritualistic child murder.
If you're taking this seriously, this witch's assistant, she has been overlooking... You're right, she is a Nazi.
Yeah!
But I choose not to take it seriously because I'm so charmed. But then I got a jarring shot of like a naked Luke.
Can we even put it here to show people?
I was like, whoa.
Of all the choices to handle that, just cut. Of all the choices to give him like a Barbie doll treatment.
Like I said, it was very European.
The director of The Man Who Fell to Earth shows his stripes. Are mouse tails really like prehensile?
Like an elephant trunk?
I don't think they are. But I liked it.
Maybe it's just he has the intellect of like a young boy and he's able to access that.
Interesting. What other powers might he have?
And go on his like hind leg.
So cute. I want some soup.
You remarked at a certain point, and I was thinking too, like when he gets the end of his tail cut off, I was like, what is this gonna, you know what it manifested in? A dickless boy. Barbie boy. Because she's German.
Oof. Yeah, that's roof stew. Sorry, Luke. We all must pay our price for tangling with witches. He really seems like he can roll with anything.
May he forever stay a child.
I mean, it would certainly help with the sequels. He was edging a little close to pubescent, I think, for a real franchise play.
Not at the end.
Luke the Mouse Boy Eunuch.
Let's go to a different topic.
Let's do, and that topic will be...
Like I said, delightfully charmed. This could have been like a little bit more rounded out, but...
For sure. What really is to be gained from perfecting this movie, the core delight isn't going to change.
Yeah, no.
So pretty diminishing returns. I feel like all I really have are quibbles. I don't have any major problems.
My one gripe, like I mentioned earlier, more Anjelica.
A little bit more of a like formidable foe.
Get him, girls!
I'll second that.
Yeah.
Okay. I do a kind of hybrid Michelin system. 1 to 3 stars for lasting work that enriches your life. 1 to 3 bonks for what am I watching? How did this happen? Thought about it long and hard. I'm going with a bonk.
I thought so.
I'm going to withhold a star. As cute as Mouse Luke is, I don't know how much this work is really going to like stay with me.
And that's exactly where I'm at too. I don't know if this would go into like an essential childhood movie viewing kit that I give to like a newborn. Maybe like this movie not doing too well is part of why maybe it didn't have like a reputation that made it so that I saw it as a kid. I mean, you can't see everything, but like I wish I had seen this as a kid. These kinds of movies are even more charming for like the audience that they're intended for. As an adult, very charming and cute.
I absolutely look forward to watching this with nieces and nephews a decade from now.
For sure. So I rate my movies on a traditional 1 to 5 star system. I'm going to give this movie a 3.5. A lot of fun. Some great performances, great effects, lots of cuteness.
Absolutely recommended, I think, especially during extended lockdown situation for a lot of people.
Yeah, we're heading into winter, guys.
Yeah, I think kind of like comfort food that really foregrounds human relationships is going to have a lot of value this winter. Watching this movie will, I think, very reliably make you feel pretty nice, and that's not worth nothing.
Creepier stuff, all the stuff with witches was like very appropriate for this time of year. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Do you have any recommendations?
They're pretty basic, and we kind of already talked about them in our pre. Something like Beetlejuice or the 2 Addams Family movies from the 90s.
Beetlejuice is a good one, especially because it also surprises me whenever I watch it, how much of its charm is tied up in the human relationships. She like finds her family with these ghost people and learns who she is.
And it's not just like the wacky performance at the center. That
everybody's given it.
Lots of charm. Fantastic Mr. Fox is another great doll adaptation.
I'm going to recommend The Halloween Tree. A nice little Halloween parable. Warm and fuzzy, human bonds. It's about kids kind of around the same age. It's also adapted from source material by a sort of like acclaimed genre writer.
Seemed like a real like hidden gem for like family Halloween. Yeah, I guess why not kind of talk about like family Halloween stuff overall. In case anyone is watching with a family,
You should cut that dick off.
Over the Garden Wall. Something that would totally work for kids. And that is also very charming and entertaining for the adults.
Man, it looks great.
And perfect for this time of year.
Very autumnal and Halloweeny and spooky.
I guess, babe, Love Babe.
Great Mice, also like
My favorite kids movie.
fantastic vocal performance by the the core animal character.
A European sensibility.
Babe is like it.
And who knows how many like young kids are watching it nowadays.
Is Babe on TikTok? Vine who? TikTok has Babe.
We recorded way more about the witches than I expected to going into this, but that was a lot of fun. And I hope you had fun watching as well. Thanks for watching.
Feel free to let us be your mixed spice and just sprinkle us over everything.
More importantly,
disseminate
like and subscribe.
These boys.
Like the future Luke could not do. That will be edited. Check out our other stuff, and we will be back shortly with more content.
That we will, Michael. And that's a very good thing.
Thank you, Grandma. Goodbye.